Welcome back to the Jasil and Alex podcast, episode 9, and it is bright outside.
You don't even have me in the camera angle.
Look at my wife.
He hasn't been posting them on YouTube anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter if I'm on the camera angle or not.
So,
I have to talk to my producer?
your podcast producer.
He's slacking here. Might have to take away some pay.
Ooh, okay. So listen up. I have allowed Jasil to lead these last 3 podcasts in the topics that we're going to do. So I'm going to just keep the tradition alive and let her choose today.
Storytelling time.
I'm going to let you lead that.
We have so many stories.
So many stories. I think this comes from, real quick, you just told me beforehand that so many people tell us that we should write a book.
Well, mostly you. I mean, I have some stories, but yours are. I mean, I'm like, weaved into some of them, but yeah, I feel like your life needs a book.
All right, let's do it.
I mean, what story do you want to start with? We have a lot of stories to tell, but you got to start with one.
You have something in mind, so tell me.
I did.
Tell me.
The story of how you came into this world.
I knew she was going there. I didn't want to jump into it. I knew she was going to go there. I will just say this. For those that are listening, this is going to get you your attention. I am the product of an affair. I am the product of an affair.
Well, I think the best part, or like what gets a lot of people, is that he's like, my biological dad. So they're like, oh, you were adopted. And it's like, no, I wasn't adopted. And everybody's like, well, what do you mean then? And it's like, no, he wasn't adopted. He was raised by what he considers his father. It is his dad. But then the truth is that that was not his biological father. And then people are like, okay, wait, what does that even mean? And it's like, well, in short, his mom cheated, didn't say anything, and his dad raised him.
So real quick, a little bit of a backstory. My mom, if you don't know by now, I've said this publicly a lot. My mom was a drug addict, had a lot of problems with addiction in her life. And so as a child, I heard that my father wasn't my father growing up, but because she was always intoxicated, we didn't know what was true and what was not. So I did do some research about this man because my mother had said his name when
Name drop him.
Anytime me and my father that I grew up with would get in arguments, she would say, "Don't worry, son. He's not your father. Your father's..."
We're not going to
so on and so forth. So I would look him up. The internet came for us in our childhood, 2000 and
oh, I don't remember.
4 is when I was 14 years old.
And that's not when the internet.
No, I know, but I'm saying that's when I went deep into doing research.
You just said the internet came in 2004.
Yeah, no, 19.
I had internet before then.
I don't know the exact date of the internet. I was closing 2 thoughts. If you know me, I close thoughts. Sometimes they make sense and they're coherent, and then other times you're like, let me just stay with them and see
where it goes.
We're gonna land on the same landing strip. So when I had access to the internet, which I believe
not in 2004
was 2002, 2003 time frame, I did like a deep dive on my biological father, the name that my mom gave me, and I did not find anything. I couldn't find anything on him, and I couldn't find a Facebook. They didn't have Instagram. They had MySpace at the time. I couldn't find any MySpace. So I stopped, and I just continued on with my life. And I knew, like I said, my mom always dropped this when me and my father got into it. So long story short, we are in Afghanistan, 2012. We both deployed February timeframe 2012, and we were there for the majority of the year. And we would always sit outside the hall and talk. And she said, "Okay, Alex, tell me one thing I don't know about you." And so we've talked a lot up to this point. And I was like, let me just scan the files and see what I could say. And that was the thing that came to my mind. So I was like, well, I don't know the validity of this. However, my mom always told me that my dad wasn't my dad. So this sparked some questions from my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and she just still kept asking me, "Well, what kind of blood type do you have? What kind of blood
Well,
type does your mom have?"
well, at the time, well, you know, if you're in the military, you have your dog tags. Everybody has their blood type on it. So at the time, I remember seeing his blood type, and then, I mean, we're in Afghanistan. Like, yeah, you work and you do things, but there's a lot of downtime too that you're bored and you start doing random shit. So we started looking into blood types, and he has like one of the rarest blood types, AB negative. I'm O positive, like one of the most common ones. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's look up what makes your blood type then, because his father also being in the military, I was like, we know your dad's blood type. So, you know, we're doing like the process of elimination. I was like, well, if your dad's this and you're this, then your mom has to be this. And I was like, that is going to be one piece of the puzzle of knowing like whether they're really your parents or not. And I was like, obviously your mom's your mom because she gave birth to you. So it's really a question of, is your father really, you know, your father? So we already knew his dad's, like I said, because his dad had a dog tag and he already knew it. And then we called his mom and we're like, hey, what's your blood type? And she tells us, and basically, like, one parent was A negative, the other parent was A positive. Alex is AB negative. And I was like, yeah, those don't match. I was like, those don't make you. I was like, you're missing a blood type here. So I was like, your mom's not lying. He is not your biological father.
And when we called my mom and we were telling her about it, she said, and it kind of made us both raise some hair raised up on the back of my neck. She said, "Are you sure this is a can of worms you want to open up?"
Yeah, like she was, but she was like, she didn't care. She was just like, are you sure you want to go down this road? And we're like, yeah. And she's like, all right, then here it is. Like she didn't, she was like ready to spill the beans. I
Yeah.
remember I was like, okay.
So I tell just so that she asked for permission first. She was like, "Hey, do you mind if I can look this guy up after we start to put the blood types together and things are not making sense in the realm of my dad, who I was raised by, being my biological father?" And I'm like, "Look, you can try to look for him.
He's like, I've tried.
I've
You're
done."
probably not going to find him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, fine, sure.
So
Like,
we break away. I go to my workspace and she goes to her workspace. And not even 10 minutes later,
yeah, I found
she
him right
sends
away.
me a message. We have these little Afghani.
I found him like after 5 minutes, but I wasn't 100% sure because I kept finding his name and his last name was through obituaries. And I was confused and I was like, I don't know if this is the same person or not, but it just kept coming up in obituaries and it was from a girl that had passed away. And then I finally somehow came across the Facebook, and when I saw the picture of the man, I was like, holy shit, that is Alex's father, because the resemblance was just so strong. Like I could see Alex looking like that 30 years from now. And he's like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
I
Yes.
didn't think it.
Yes. I could see the resemblance. And I was like, that's his father.
So she sends me a message, and I just want for context, we're in Afghanistan, and these are like
Like, no,
Nokia
Nokia,
phones.
like from the 90s,
So you have to legitimately press the letters three
three
times to
times.
get to the letter that you want.
So a text message takes like 5 minutes to write. Okay.
Yes. And I get this text message and she says, "I got it." She's like, come over into the hallway where we meet up and let's look at it. Let's look at it together." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there." So we go, we do it, and
Is locked. Like the, yeah.
we go on his profile and it's you can't see anything. He has it private. But I noticed in his siblings section that he has a son,
Family members.
family members, and the son is there. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, let's go look at the son." And the son, surprisingly, his was blocked, like it was private too. You needed
And profile picture, you couldn't see him either.
no, you couldn't see anything.
He had a big Mexican sombrero and glasses, like you couldn't see his face or anything. So we're like, oh, okay, another, you know, dead end.
So I told her, I was like, "Look, I know kids. We're the same age. It's all about the follows. It's all about the likes. We're 21 years old, 22 years old. 20
No,
no, we're 21
we're
still.
21.
21 years old. I said, "I'm just gonna give him a friend request and see what he does."
And I was like, "You're crazy. Like, why would you do that? He's gonna see the resemblance and he's gonna figure this out, blah, blah." And he's like, "No, he won't, blah, blah." And it turned out Alex was right. He just accepted it. He
He
didn't
accepted the
even,
friend request, and never once did I get
yeah,
any messages like,
or anything.
"Hey, do I know you? Why are
Yeah.
you following me?"
But then we found out he was like pretty popular because he played D1 baseball. So we were like, "Oh, okay, that's why he didn't even like blink an eye about accepting a random friend request." He's probably like, "Oh, they saw me play baseball or something."
Yeah, fanboy.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, 3 days go by, and I get the notification that he accepts the friend request. And I send Jasil a message, and I'm like, "Hey, let's do this together."
He's like, come over. Let's do it together. Let's go through his
I'm a little
profile."
nervous. Let's do this together. And she's like, "Okay, give me a few minutes." She closes up what she has to, and we meet back in the hallway. And I remember I go on my computer, I log on to Facebook, and I start going through his profile photos. And second photo that I click on, I see his full face, and my stomach was in my throat. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, so he had longer hair at the time and the resemblance wasn't so striking. But the more we go clicking through his pictures, we get to one that he has like the same exact buzz cut that Alex wears in the military. And he has glasses and it's like this side profile picture. And I saw that and I was like, "Holy shit, Alex. If you would send me this picture, I would never doubt that that was you." Like, I was like, "Send it to your sisters. I bet you that they're just gonna be like, 'Oh, hey, when did you take that?'" Because I was like, "That looks exactly like you." And granted, like, when you look at them side by side, the resemblance isn't that strong. Like, they look alike, but they just have certain features that, yeah, in that picture, they look like twins. And that's when I was like, "Yeah, if that's not your dad and this isn't your half brother, then I don't know what is." Because I was like, "This guy looks just like you."
It was sickening. I took a few minutes, and then I called my mom, and she was like,
Yeah, like, that's him.
"I told you.
Yeah, like,
I told you." And I'm not lying to you when I say this. She said, "Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna call him."
she's like, "I have this number, I'm gonna call him." And we're like, "No, no, no." She's like, "Yeah, no, it's fine. Like, I
We're
have
in
this number at work."
we're in Afghanistan
On Skype with her.
on a Skype call, so I don't even see her in face. It's just like
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
We're
Skype
It's
call.
a voice call.
And I'm like, "No, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay. I just wanna know." And then all of a sudden you hear, "Hello?" She had three-wayed him in, and he starts talking. And I remember her saying, "Hey, Mark." That's my voice that I mimic my mom. She's like, "Hey, Mark, your son's wanting to know more about you. I have him on the line." And he's like, okay. How are you doing?" And I was just shocked by how, in the matter of 72 hours, this what I've been told my whole life and what we just dismissed because of my mom's credibility and how she showed up in the world, it totally opened my eyes. So obviously, I hear him. We talk just for maybe 5, 10 minutes, and he says
To exchange emails.
emails. We'll
Yeah.
talk through email. So I had
Yeah,
gotta,
because I had actually sent a Facebook message and so had Alex, but they had gone on unresponded. And then I remember that we sent one to his son telling him, like, "Hey, we're trying to get in contact with your dad. Like, do you mind telling him to check his Facebook messages?" And I think he replied, like, "Oh, he doesn't really, know how to function on these apps and stuff." So we're like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Just drop it. I don't want to get the son like."
which the son didn't even know
Yeah.
at the time. So that was a real
Yeah, we
a
didn't
strategy.
tell him. I was like, I don't wanna get him, like, more curious, so I was like, "Just drop it, like,
Yeah.
if whatever." And then we ended up, yeah, getting contact through his mom, sharing emails, and then they talked back and forth. I'm just here, like, witnessing this all, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is crazy."
So the remaining time that I was in Afghanistan, that we were in Afghanistan, it was back and forth through email. It wasn't like an everyday thing. It was occasionally a couple weeks, 3 weeks would go by to have a conversation with him. And one thing that I told Jasil at the very beginning, and even my biological father, was, "I am not reaching out to you because I need a father. I was raised by a father. I had a fatherly figure for me." As Jasil and I remember this, it was after I proposed to you. We were on the back half of our deployment. We were talking about creating a family one day. And when this all came up and the trajectory of my family lineage and health wise, medical wise, I was curious of what was in my history, my family history. So that's what I was very clear that that was why I was reaching out. So he didn't think otherwise. And then, so on the other side, as I was having all this dialogue with him, I started to have dialogue with my three older sisters. So from my mom and my father that raised me, who I thought for a long time was my biological father, I have three older sisters. I'm the youngest. And I reached out to them and was just making some casual conversation. And then all of a sudden, I dropped a photo of my biological brother, who I had mentioned just a few minutes ago, of the picture that made me really sick to my stomach. And they all started questioning, like, oh, when they, they didn't know that it wasn't me. They were asking me questions about what point in my life that photo was. And I also told them, this is
My half brother.
my half brother
This is
from
not me.
the guy that our mom said was our father, was my father. And two of my sisters were like, OMG. Yeah, I'm just like using acronyms, but WTF. Like there was a lot of surprise and tears and
Denial.
denial. One of my oldest sisters, she still to this day has a hard time accepting it that I have a different father. So, and even my second oldest sister, when I was in Florida recently and doing my TED talk, we were talking about it, and she's like, when you told us that, I had to go see a therapist because it was hard for me. Like I was having a hard time with that because I was like, oh my god, my brother, he's not my full brother anymore. What's going
But it
on?
makes you realize that that doesn't change things in that way. Like when you're raised with someone, even if you don't have the same parents, like they're still your sibling. And that's something that I came across recently. They're like in Spanish, we don't have those words. There's no such thing as stepsister, half brother. Like you're just sisters, your brothers, your family. Like we don't do that. But in American culture, it is very common to right away like draw the line, draw the distinction of no, we're not fully full blood related. But at the end of the day, you grow up with someone sharing every single moment as a sibling, like they are like your sibling, like
Yeah.
that doesn't change it.
So I tell my sisters, don't tell my dad, don't tell our dad. I need to talk to him in person. I still had another 5 months, I believe, in Afghanistan. And so they all promised me, hey, we're not going to say anything. And we go the next 5 months, and I get sent home before Jasil. And so I have this period of where I'm at home in Tennessee, where I'm from, where it's just me and my dad. And I said, hey, we need to go on a car ride. And I remember him after the fact. I remember him telling me, he's like, I knew what it was about. He's like, I just had a feeling I knew what was about. So we get in the car, we start driving in my local town. I'm driving and he's in the passenger seat and we're just casually talking. And I bring it up to him. And he was like, yeah, it's true. I knew about it and I never told you. And I wasn't even upset. I wasn't upset with him at all at that point because when he told me, he was like, look, Alex, I didn't find out until you were 5 years old. And at that point, you were already my son. Like I had already, like, I loved you for you and who you were in the world. Like I didn't care. I didn't care. You were my son. And he told me, I'll get into a little bit more other detail, but one of the things that stuck with me to this day was he was like, if I would have found out when you were born, I probably wouldn't have been here. He's like, I just, there's too much hurt. But when I found out when you were 5, there was just nothing but love. And he said that when he realized that the biological father was trying to get in contact with me via my mom, by the way, he reached out to him and he said, "Look, you got two options. I can," and he was very vulgar. He said, "I can kill you, or I can ruin your life, and I will tell your whole family."
Because his biological dad at the time was married and he actually had two women pregnant because Alex's half brother is 4 months younger than him. So basically, he got Alex's mom pregnant. A few months later, his wife got pregnant. So, and then they had another child a few years later. But
And,
yeah, he had his own family.
and my dad knew all this.
And his mom told us the whole story. Like it was they're in Arizona, both in the Air Force.
The two men were in the
The
Air Force.
2
My
men,
dad and my
yeah,
biological father were both in the Air Force active duty.
yeah, and his mom was cleaning offices, and I guess that's how they met,
She was a
and
cleaning lady.
yeah, and that's how the whole thing started. I mean, she told us the whole story. She was very honest and nonchalant about the whole thing. Um, and yeah, so we knew that side of it.
So he tells me about that instance there, and then he said there was another time as I got a little bit older.
And she told us that too. Like she told us like that would send them pictures and that they had a contact in the family, like
Yeah.
that they would use.
So yeah, how my
So it
mom
wasn't
how my mom
direct.
set it up was that my she would reach out to my biological father every once in a while via another family member sending photos and information about me so my biological father could be in the know. He could see me growing and things of that nature. It even got to the point was when I was born that when my dad and my sisters left the hospital, she called him to come and hold me for the first time as a newborn baby. And so my biological father had told me all of this, and everything was matching up. So when I was talking to my dad, he was telling me that the reason why that guy did not wasn't in your life was because
Yeah.
you're my son. Like I don't see you any different. The way I raised you, I didn't raise you any different. Like you weren't my own. And I respect that. Even though I don't talk to my dad to this day, I respect that because I have friends, and I've even thought about in my own situation fathering children that are not mine, and how hard that is to, in my own opinion, how hard that is to do as a man. And so I respect men that are doing that and stepping into that role. So after having that conversation, Jasil comes home, and my after having a lot of conversations with my biological father, he says, "Hey, I want you to meet your half brother, and I want you to meet the family. But first, I want you to meet your half brother. He's going to be playing baseball in California. I'll fly down to San Diego because that's where we lived at the time. We'll spend a few days in San Diego, and then we'll drive up and watch his weekend baseball game because he had a 3-day series
Yeah.
in Malibu, California. Excuse me. They were playing Pepperdine University, and so I'm like, cool, let's do it. And when I got to the baseball game, I had people coming up to me. I don't know if you remember this, but we had
Yeah.
people coming up to us like, "Oh, I didn't know Chris had a bro. I didn't
Yeah.
know the person had a brother. I didn't know this is interesting
Yeah, like,
because
people right away could tell they were related. It was never and I'm just standing there taking this all in, and I'm like, "This is wild."
it's like you're a celebrity because
Yeah, like,
people were coming up.
everybody just came up to him, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I didn't he never told me he had a brother. What, are you his cousin?" Like,
Yeah,
because everybody could see the resemblance. They look so much alike. It's insane.
yeah. So I do remember I actually met him before the weekend series kicked off. We met him in a restaurant, so it's not like
It was the first
it
time
was the
meeting
first time
him.
meeting
Yeah.
him. I had met him for a few hours beforehand, and he was just like, man, I remember my half brother was like, man, I wish that I knew you growing up. We have so much in common,
Yeah.
and we do. It's crazy that we have so much in common, and we just clicked right away. When I met him, it was we were bantering back and forth,
So,
talking
like,
crap.
growing up, Alex always felt like the black sheep because he was into sports, he was athletic, he was all these things. His dad wasn't like that, his sisters weren't like that, so he always felt like this disconnect within his own family of like, "Why does nobody like the things I like?" And then he meets this, side of his biological family, and it's insane because they're all so similar, have similar interests, they're athletes, they love sports, and it was like right up his alley of the things that he likes to do. So he felt very like at home once he met the side of the family. Like, there wasn't this weird like, "Oh my gosh, we need to get to know each other. We don't know each other." Like it was very much like, "Oh shit, we're kind of the same."
Yeah. And when we went to the baseball game, everybody that came up to me and was shaking my hand, introducing themselves, my biological father said, "Hey, listen, I his mother doesn't know. I need to talk." He was very open and honest. He's like, "I need to talk to her. Please don't go back and say anything." Because where they were at, it's a small community. They had gotten divorced a few years before, and he
When
had
they had lost their youngest child, a daughter, due to a drunk driver accident. She was 17 at the time.
Yeah. So they lost their youngest child, and they
They
obviously
yeah, it was messy.
having a hard time coping, whatever the case may be. From the stories I've been told, they separated ways and got divorced. So he has still not told her about me. So
And I mean, technically, no one else knew except the one aunt, and now the son, and that was it. Like nobody else in the family knew either. So it was kind of like everybody was finding out little by little. I want to say this was December, right? It was like November, December, and then we made plans.
no, it was in
mm,
February
Okay,
because we
because then we made plans the next month to go fly to where all his family lived and meet his family. So their families do like these monthly gatherings.
it was March, beginning of March, because we flew out the end of March during Easter time. It was very
Okay.
close. That's what he was saying. I remember my
I know it was like a few weeks. It was like we met them in California and then we went and met them at their home state.
my biological father.
December.
I remember him kept saying to these people, "Hey, I'm going to break the news during Easter time frame. Please don't say anything to my
Yeah.
ex-wife. I need to talk to her first."
Well, he was like, just like keep the pictures off Facebook, don't post anything, blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't want the family to see. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, no problem with us. We're
Yeah,
not trying to, you know, spread the news like that.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Because my whole family, that side of the family, didn't even know about me. So his trip to San Diego, no one knew what he was going to see me. They thought he was going to see his son Chris play baseball. So
yeah. Which I
three,
mean, he
he
was,
did, yeah,
but he was also there to meet us in person for the first time.
and he got to see Grayson.
No, Alex, you have the timelines all confused. I wasn't even pregnant.
Oh yeah,
I was pregnant. I was like 7 weeks pregnant when we
yes,
went to their home
yes.
state.
I am getting the timelines mixed because the next year he
Yes,
came
it
and
was
was
when your mom passed away the
yeah
next year that he then met Grace.
miss timeline there.
You're a year ahead.
I'm a year ahead at
Okay,
that
let's
point.
back it up.
So yeah, so he comes, we do it, and it's a good time. And then he says, I want you to come right before he leaves. He's like, I want you to come to Michigan. I want you to come to where our family is. We have a family reunion this date. I will pay for everything. I'll fly you and Lucille up, and I can introduce you to the family and make
Yeah.
this official.
So that their family, it's very much like Hispanic families. Like I'm talking about 30, 40 people in one room gathered together. And he tells us the location. I think we drove together, something like that. I don't, or we had a rental. We
We had
drove.
a rental.
Yeah. And he says, just walk in, take your seats. He's like, you can say hello and talk to people. Just don't tell them who you are or anything else. And I was like, me and Alec were like, what? What are we walking into right now?
It was so uncomfortable. Like,
I
how
was
do you
like,
tell
this is so weird.
how do you tell someone that?
Yeah. And so we walk in and we're probably like half the room maybe was full or quarter of the room was full.
There was at least 40
Yeah.
people, 40 or more people there.
Towards the end. Yeah. But when we walked in, we were early. And I remember we're sitting towards one of the front tables because we were like, we just like walked in and grabbed like the first seats.
Just keeping your head.
And we're both just sitting there. And of course, like this is a family gathering. So who are the two random people? Clearly, I'm not the one related to them, There's Alex, who looks just like them. And everybody's coming in and everybody's like, hello, who are you? And they're like, are you a cousin? And like everybody, and we're just like, oh yeah, like we'll say later. Like we're just like, this is our names, and we're trying not to give people answers or say, but everybody's so curious and asking us like, who is this guy? And I'm just like, I'm just sitting here. Like, I don't know anything. I'm not part of this.
Do you remember? I don't remember the exact time, but do you know how late Mark was, or my biological father was?
Like 30 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah. I don't know.
I will say it was a tough time.
He wasn't there when we were there,
It
basically.
was a tough time being there without him because people were asking questions
Yeah.
in the small talk, and here I am just trying to push them away.
Yeah, but people kept like, "Where are you from? What's your name? How do you know us?" Like, but it was clear to the family members that he was related to them. So then finally he walks in, and of course he's not going to drop the news right away. Like they have their little introduction and all of this. So we're still sitting around, and then finally he stands up and takes
He
the
does
floor.
he does like what you see at a
A wedding
wedding.
or
He's like
something.
ding 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 ding
Yeah.
ding. He's like, hey, excuse me, I just want to making a little announcement.
Well, the one aunt who knew, she came and embraced you
Well,
because
because
she
I
knew.
met her
Yeah,
a couple nights before on a
and
one-on-one dinner,
she also knew that she was the one person who knew about you your whole life. So she was the one person who came and embraced us and said hello again. Yeah.
pictures, everything. She knew everything
So then
about me.
everybody was asking her to like, well, who is he?
And she just kept,
Yeah.
you'll find out, you'll find
Yeah.
out." So he was like, "This is my son." And everybody's like, "Yay!" And they all come and give me a hug and introduce themselves. And it, at that moment, it all made sense on why I felt like I was the black sheep of my regular family, because I say my regular family, but the family that I grew up with, because all of these cousins and aunts and uncles,
Even
they
the women.
the women look just like me,
And they're tall.
taller people. So I was one of the shorter ones in the family reunion, even in my family, and where the family I grew up with, I was the tallest. It's
Yeah.
like
Like his cousins are like, and his uncles 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". Like his grandpa's was huge.
yoked.
Yeah, like this man was like 6'6", 6'7", like, and I was like, now this makes sense. This is
Yes,
why you're so tall.
yes,
And even the women, I think the shortest one is like 5'8",
yeah,
because
something like that.
they're like 5'7", 5'8". One of them is like 5'10". Like even the women are tall, which is funny though, because your grandma's not. She's like this tiny
Really, really
little
short.
woman,
But
but
it made sense, especially like starting with my grandma. She's like 94 years old. I don't know the exact. I don't want to.
she's in her 90s.
She's in mid 90s, and she's still active and very big into the community. And a lot of what my family, my biological family is, it's really back into service. So a lot of them are in their communities. They're doing things. They're judges. They're commissioners. They're in the law offices of the state. So I could see that they were active. Where in my regular family, by no means am I comparing careers, but they weren't as outgoing.
Yeah,
Where I'm going with this, like everybody that I saw that day was very outgoing, in your face, asking questions,
yeah,
excited to know more about me. The list goes on.
yeah. There was a lot of similarities even to me that was like very clear from just being around, his biological family versus the family he grew up with. Like this felt so much more like similar. I was like, okay, yeah, I see how you fit in this crowd. Where with his other siblings, it literally is like day and night. They're not that similar in many aspects.
I will say I've had one thought, as especially right after, and then the following weeks when I met my family, I remember, man, why didn't I get to grow up with this side? And the reason why I thought that was because I was so invested into sports. I really loved sports as a kid. That's what helped me get through my childhood. And seeing how involved my that side of the family was in sports and extracurricular activities, it made me have that what if factor. Now, as I'm older and I look back at that, my life, the path that I took, is made me who I am today. So I wouldn't want to
Change it.
change anything because I wouldn't have what I
Yeah.
have today.
And I mean, and I will say, like Alex said earlier, right now he's not necessarily on great terms with the father that raised him because of some familiar, situation, something that happened between them. But, I think back on all the things that Alex went through as a boy, as a teenager, and still the results, like the man he became. And as much as we like to say, well, that's up to the person, I do attribute a lot of that to his father and the way his father raised him and the way his father, like corrected things. And granted, it wasn't the best way all the time. Sometimes it was a little harsh and all of this, but he wouldn't be the man he is today if it wasn't for the father who raised him, and I am very clear on that. And I tell him that all the time, like, regardless of the relationship you have, or if you guys are on a fallout or this or that, like, you are who you are today because this man shaped you to be that, and yes, we do have a lot of internal things that no one can change no matter what. Like, it is who we are, but our environment does shape us. And regardless of all the faults and things that his father may have done that we're like, oh, it could have been better, at the end of the day, he did a pretty good job raising him to be the man he is today.
Agreed. I want to close this section with one last story because I know we'll think this is funny in the sense of how it went down. After I met the family, part of my stay my half brother, had a baseball game at the University of Michigan. They're playing a big time powerhouse, and I was going to watch to support him. And when I was there, I noticed that there was this woman that kept staring at me while I was watching the baseball game. And as Giselle's probably said to you all in the past on a podcast, she just doesn't listen to when I say something like that because I'm staring at people too, she says. But I'm sitting here watching the baseball game and I keep looking over to my left and I
He's
see this.
like, this woman keeps staring at me. I'm like, yeah, it's probably because you keep staring at her.
So I'm like, okay, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I get up and I start walking to the bathroom and this woman gets up and follows me towards the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I speed walk into the bathroom. I use the bathroom. I come out and that woman is outside the bathroom door looking at me, just staring at me. And
And he comes
it
back
creeps me out. So I walk back
and he
fast.
tells me
And
this, and
she's
I'm like, are you sure you're not just being paranoid? He's like, no, I know what I'm telling you. So, like, this woman just followed me. And I was like, Alex, like, who the heck is going to follow you? You're in a different state, like, in a completely different place. But then I'm like, okay, let's see if he's not making this up. So I started looking and I see that she is. I was like, okay. I was like, it does seem like she keeps looking this way. I was like, maybe there's somebody else sitting over here or something. And he's like, no, like, I know. And I was like, all right.
I know what I'm talking about. So I get my biological father involved and said, hey, this is very uncomfortable. There's this woman over there that's staring at me. Can you just look over and
Yeah, like, tell me what's up.
tell me what's going on? And so he looks over and he's like, oh, I'm like, what? He's like, that's my ex-wife. Then he starts giggling and I'm like, what? He's like,
So,
that's
well,
my ex-wife.
and then he also says, I still haven't told her. And we're like, oh, shit.
So he never told her. And she's at this game seeing me
For the first
for the
time.
first time.
And
And
it's clear that he looks like, her ex-husband.
so Mark is I said his name, it's not intentional, but he starts laughing and he's giggling this whole time. And then we get in the car and he gets the phone call from his ex-wife. And we're sitting in the car and she's like, how could you do that? She just
Well, she started texting him
yeah,
first, and he kept ignoring her text
yeah,
messages. So she was getting, infuriated
yeah,
because she's like, how can you do this to me? Like, I'm, trying to get an answer, and he's just ignoring her. And finally, like, she calls him, like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
So she unloaded on him for all 21, 22 years, the past 22 years. And it was very uncomfortable for me. But it was an eye opening when you think about it. I know you got to go. It was eye opening for me to think about it in the sense of that this was a secret. I was a secret for 22 years. And that's one thing I've told Jasil is you can see this in two lights. Either I was the byproduct of true love or I was the product of an affair. Hope you enjoyed the story this time. Until next time.